Welcome back, everybody, to the International 3 Eastern Qualifiers. I'm Gods, and I'm joined with a new guest at the panel, AUI 2000. He's flown all the way from Canada, and his only words so far have been, LA is huge.
It's really, really big. Like, I flew over the city, I saw tall buildings. I'm like, hey, it's downtown, guys, right? And then we kept flying. I saw more tall buildings, and I saw like 6 downtown cores.
Turns out you're just in the suburbs or,
Yeah.
like, probably
I-
outskirts of LA.
I'm pretty sure there's like 20 Vancouvers here, so.
Well, small town boy AUI 2000 has graced us with his presence here to provide some analysis here on the panel. But we're a bit behind schedule after that 3-game epic series. Did you see much? Did you get to see Miracle's Wisp, or were you?
Unfortunately, I was actually asleep. I was catching up on my sleep. But I heard crazy things about like he bought Blink when it's coming back, blinked out.
Yeah, it was something special. For those of you guys who don't know, AUI had a match earlier today and has another one tomorrow morning. So it's only right he gets some sleep when he can. But enough about that. We're going to actually introduce our next match, which is going to be LGD Gaming up against Dreams. We'll take a quick look at the two teams' rosters and introduce away as we have got ourselves, well, a David and Goliath story here. LGD Gaming, the clear favorites here in Group A, as well as in pretty much the entire tournament here in the Eastern Qualifier. They've got such a stacked roster, as you can see one of our pretty little graphs there, which is meant to come up a bit later. But LGD Gaming there over on the right, we've got Zhao Wei, the captain, who's led this team to glory, and more glory. Last year at the International, finishing in 3rd place, and since then, a number of trophies to their name. Yao, Sila, DDC, SC, and DD. Let's give these guys a proper team introduction as we'll hop our way into the game, introduce each of these players, their roles, and how they fit into this LGD Gaming squad. So, LGD Gaming, not the boys from Philippines, that's okay. We've got LGD Gaming, we've got Sila, looking like he's on a magazine cover here. He's the carry player, known for his anti-mage, his lone druid, his Luna. Up next is actually the captain for Team LGD. We've got Zhao Wei, who plays that 2 or sometimes the 3 position, known for sort of his ganking role, controls the flow of the game a lot, loves to roam around the map and sort of be the player to set the tempo there. Next up for LGD, we have got Yao, who is going to be their sort of, generally, lately he's been playing the solo mid more. He's known for playing the Magnus quite a lot, pretty much famous for his Magnus. Also the pretty boy over on the LGD team. Then we start looking at the supports for the LGD squad. We've got DDC, as well as DD, the 2 supports here who sort of round off this stable LGD team, the roaming duo. These guys have been sort of at the core of the success of LGD over the years, and that pretty much wraps up what LGD is, as we will see. Looks like we're going to have a quick remake in this game, but everything's good, guys. We'll get you guys in the game as soon as possible. LGD Gaming, though, as a team, do you see them, anyone actually challenge them here, AUI?
Well, LGD is really coming in as favorites, but as we saw in the last match, at a competition of this level, it's really, really anyone's game. Any team can take a match or games off anyone. I'm sort of interested in this Hexagon, though. His player skill for LGD at 7, and I think they're one of the best teams in the world.
You can flame me for that. I think they're not known for their amazing individual players, is more the case there. They're known for being this amazing, just overall team with some great game sense experience. I'm reading off here. I think as far as the 1v1 matchups go, well, I think Sila's amazing in his role, but I think the supports just don't. It's not like your IG level supports or your IG level solo type players, but they're much. I think they're more. They make up for their, I say, lack of skills if they're not good by just their sort of smart decision making, their smart plays, but. Definitely LGD are a fantastic team, but the team they're going up against is going to be Dreams Legion Steel Series, so we'll quickly introduce those guys so we can hop ourselves into this match as soon as possible. We have got LA, who plays the carry role there, known for his Puck, Mag, Queen of Pain. Coming up next, the one guy, everybody knows him, no Jules, no win, known for his Shadow Fiend, Marana, Puck, but mostly his Shadow Fiend. He plays that solo mid role generally for Team Dreams. Moving onwards, we have our 3-position player, which is going to be Owie, sort of famous for his DK, his Tinker, and his Slaughter. Moving on to the supports for Team Dreams, we have the support tandem of JYC and Yosh. That's the other support player, of course. So Yosh generally playing that 5 position, the Rubik, the Chen, the Sand every now and then. And this is a team who I find are very underrated in the Southeast Asian scene. They sort of they don't really have very stable results, but when they play well, they play really well. But taking on LGD, probably can't really give them too much of a shot.
LGD is LGD after all. 3rd place TI2. Same lineup, so.
Yeah.
We're probably going to expect something big from them here.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much concludes our teams. It looks like the teams are in the lobby, impatiently awaiting for this game to begin. So without much further ado, we're going to introduce our two casters for the match. We've got the prettiest couple in Dota 2, also the best mustache in Dota 2. It's none other than Purge and Blitz.
Wow, thanks for having us on, guys. It's been really exciting so far. We've been watching all the matches, just having a great time. Great way to start the tournament as well, on that best of 3. Just so many epic games and a lot of really clutch plays. But this game is most likely going to be a little bit less close, don't you think?
I do think so. I think LGD is heavily favored here. As they said, they've come through when it matters, but as we saw, first departure, they had no pressure on them. Everyone thought they were the underdog. That Rattlesnake after the first game should have dealt with them pretty easily, but it does mean a lot being the underdog. It's a lot easier to play without having too much expectations. I know Dreams obviously got in because Neolution got kicked out of the qualifier, so they obviously weren't expecting to be here, but now that they are, it's a pretty good opportunity for them to at least ruin some compendiums.
Yeah, and even if they're less likely to win, it's still kind of scary for LGD China, just because they used to have a free get-in to TI3, and now they have to play through the qualifiers. And if we look at the team that I thought was favored for the Western qualifiers, EG, they got knocked out, and I thought they were going to be the ones to make it. My compendium on the West qualifier got completely trashed from that. So there is still a chance that they're going to have a really, really tough road all the way to the top there.
Yeah, definitely. And Dreams actually looks, when I've seen them play, they've actually looked pretty good. LGD obviously the heavy favorites here, but I'm really hoping to see the Jewel Shadow Fiend. I've heard a lot about it. The 2 times I casted him actually with LD, I believe it was picked, and it was quite something to see. So hopefully we'll see some signature heroes out of Dreams, and maybe they can make something special happen. Yeah,
that'd be really exciting to see. So I think we are missing one person, just disconnected from the lobby, waiting on DD here. Again, a little bit of background talking about the teams. They did previously get an invite to the tournament, but they ended up dropping Long DD, who joined to replace DD. So they dropped Long DD, and then Valve decided to put them into the qualifiers instead of the actual invite. And kind of similar story to what Dreams is. Dreams is replaced a team that also had a roster switch, but when you roster switch from the qualifiers, you just get kicked out, I guess. So if anything, this is probably the best team in the qualifier versus the lowest ranked. So it should be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure Dreams, though, they did prepare. They've had some time to prepare now.
Mm-hmm.
They've had about, I think, 2 weeks, roughly, for some games and prep. So I don't think this will be as one-sided, maybe, as a lot of people think. LGD did go through a recent roster swap, so that's something to consider as well. They did get 2-0'd recently by Vici Gaming as well, another team in the qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's as cut and clear and dry as everyone thinks, with LGD just going to come like guns blazing, win it all. So I think Dreams has the potential to at least, show a competitive game at the very least.
Do you think the Pinoy team here is going to just pull something really weird out to try to win the game? Do you think that they're going to go for some kind of a weird strategy, or do you think they're going to stick to bare bones stuff? I mean, the Chinese teams are generally just really strong in the styles that they play. Do you think that they might just go for a weird hero?
I don't know necessarily if we'll see something like that. I think they'll play to their strengths. We saw a lot of their signature heroes. I think the best thing for Jules to do, or not Jules, but Dreams in general, if Jules picks, is to pick what they're good at, regardless of what something like LGD will pick, try to play their own style, and then hope that they come out on top. I mean, gods would know actually more about that than we would. So.
Yeah. Dreams are a team who, back in Dota 1, they kind of made the bottle crow famous. Well, the Filipino teams did. The Pinoy teams, they basically invented the bottle crows, the double courier strats. Now we're seeing bottle crowing in modern day Dota 2 by every team, just with the one courier, but it's still this style of play which the teams do. They're very unpredictable. A team like Dreams, they're obviously the heavy underdogs, but they have strong individual skill, which is, I think, where they're strongest. What they lack is the experience, the drafting, and I think experience is the big thing. I mean, they've been around. They're actually, as far as stable rosters goes, Dreams have had this same roster for about 1.5 years now, which is more stable than almost any other team in the entire Dota 2 scene. But they don't have the experience versing top-tier teams like the top Chinese teams on a big scale, and that's exactly what this TI3 East qualifier is going to be. Speaking about the international, you've just got invited yourself, so how excited?
I'm really excited, actually. We didn't really get a chance to qualify last year, so this year we're just getting a direct invite, which is nice.
Yeah, well, it'll be exciting to see you guys there. But this game, I mean, there's a lot at stake. It really is. I mean, we've shown some of the clips from last year and some of our videos earlier on today teasing what's going to be happening, and it's a big deal to these teams. It means absolutely everything. It is the tournament of the year which matters the most. There's obviously a lot of other tournaments, a lot of other reasons to be a professional player, but what it comes down to is the international is the one big dream for every team and every player. As we are going to have a quick delay, guys. Unfortunately, it does seem that one of the players is having some problems logging in. Do apologize. We can just talk live.
There he is.
Just got in.
Just got in.
We can pass it back over anyways. Back to the Pazuki loving casters, Purge and Blitz.
That is us. I mean, how many times has Pazuki's been mentioned? I swear they owe us money. That's definitely true. As much advertising has happened already tonight. All right, looks like we are ready to start, so we're about to get in the game. I hope you guys are excited as we are, because I am so pumped to watch LGD play and see if Dreams can take some games off and maybe even win the set. So
Yeah, hopefully LGD just comes out guns blazing, shows off what they can do, and show that they actually deserve to get in.
yeah, it would be really fun to see them just absolutely dominate through. I mean, if we think about what happened last year at TI2, LGD went through the group stage, did insanely well. They were, I think, the only team that didn't drop a game in the group stage, or was it them and IG?
I think all the way leading up until they met IG, LGD was actually, or
Navi,
LGD,
I believe.
Oh, Navi, they were actually undefeated up until that point.
Yeah, they really did fantastic at TI3. It was just seriously impressive performance. So starting things off for LGD, they're going to go with a Batrider ban. Not too unexpected. Batrider has amazing disable capabilities with his Firefly, or with his Flaming Lasso, excuse me. It's great against heroes like Lifestealer or anybody that it ends up being a carry who ends up picking up a BKB. So not surprising at all to see Batrider banned.
Yeah, it's actually one of the strongest mid heroes. You can do the off lane as well, jungle, really, really versatile in every single lane. And actually, Jules is going to disconnect from the game. Seems like we've had some issues, so we're going to have to wait on the next man.
He is the drafter, so we are asking for a remake, unfortunately. May have to end up doing that. Yeah, Batrider also really great just because sticking Napalm at all stages of the game is just not fun to deal with, because it's one of the few abilities in Dota that actually does alter your turn radius, so that really messes things up quite a bit, or your turn speed, excuse me, so it can be quite troublesome to change targets in the middle of a team fight. So. Alright, and we are going to have to go into a remake here. Can hop back into that pretty quick, hopefully. Get back into the draft. All the players are rejoining now. Hopefully no more connection problems with fail logins.
Yeah, and I actually think that Batrider first ban is a little interesting just because LGD has the first pick, and it is a tier 1 hero, but maybe it's just something that they're not comfortable with playing, and maybe they pick something else up and they just don't want to give it away or have to deal with it at all.
Yeah, it can be very annoying to deal with at times with your hard carry. What are the more typical picks in the Chinese scene right now? Are you that familiar with the common? Is it that different from the Western qualifiers, for example?
I don't think we'll see anything too different. I think Wisp is a little, and Gyro are both a little undervalued in the Chinese scene. They don't value it as highly as as the Western scene does. But I think for the most part, the general heroes that are still big are, we have Mag, Batrider, Nyx, Keeper of the Light, Rubik. Those are all still tier 1 heroes in any scene, regardless.
And what about some of a niche pick, something like Slark? We saw Slark make a really big, I'm not going to say, all right, splash in the in the Western qualifiers, but do you think we'll see something weird like that? I mean, surely they've been watching the Western games. Not as important for them right now since they only have to play Eastern teams, but I really felt like Slark showed how strong of a hero he was this week, and maybe we'll see something like that as well.
Yeah, he he had been picked before by Team Liquid a few times. I know Korok really likes playing it. It is a really good hero. I know Miguel played it really well for AL, and they actually did quite well with it. They did a lot better than I thought they would, taking out some pretty good teams with it. So maybe we'll see something like that. I'm not too sure if we'll see anything too out of the ordinary like that as we did in the Western qualifiers. I know, as we saw in the last game, the Chinese scene is a lot more stable with the way they pick. You don't see anything crazy from coming out of them.
I even saw the gyrocopter that went Aghanims in one of the earlier games, and I was super surprised about that as well. A really different item build than we normally see. So we are actually loading back into the game. We'll be in just a second here. hopefully no more disconnects. But yeah, seems like everybody's really pulling out these small cards that they have been saving until this qualifier, so that they can whip it out and then hopefully catch the enemy team unaware. And this is completely important as well. Every team that you beat in the group stages gives you a much higher chance of winning or getting towards the top place. And you definitely want to be at least one of the 2 top teams, because then you get to go all the way to Seattle and you have a really good shot of playing in the tournament. So.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben's actually sending me some notes, so thank you, Ben. And we're actually going to see the Lone Druid ban right off from Dreams. We actually saw that hero do work for first departure in Game 2 and Game 3, so not something they want to give up. One of the best off-laners, best short laners, really good at a one-on-one matchup.
Yeah, he really is strong right now, especially with that armlet. Little exploit, so can we say? It's even banned in some tournaments, but still let through here. But really fantastic item on the bear. Even with a little bit of farm, it only takes about 2,700 gold, and then you have an item that gives you like 45 damage, and most importantly, armor, HP regen, and a decent amount of attack speed. And that plus phase boots. Even if you're in an offlane bear, you can farm that reasonably fast and still be really strong on the map.
Yeah, and I'm actually just looking at AUI really leerily right now about that armlet thing. It just makes bear an even worse hero to play against. And I'm really glad, though, that something that the Western scene does quite commonly is able to infiltrate the Eastern scene some as well.
Yeah, it is really fun to watch that happen. So we're waiting on the last ban in the first round here. Dreams gets to go, and then LGD gets the first pick. So what are the core heroes that we're waiting on? We got Wisp. Maybe we'll see a Wisp picked up. We did see him in some of the earlier games. Other Imba heroes?
There's a Keeper of the Light. I mean, there's the Clockwork ban. I think Clockwork right now has been a pretty tier 1 hero for them, for the Chinese scene right now. Actually, we're going to see the Lifestealer picked up right off the bat. Just that Rage, the Infest, makes it really hard to kill him.
Yeah, and Lifestealer really starts them off into a lot of laning possibilities. They can do an aggressive tri-lane, they can do a safe tri-lane. Some teams have even dabbled with like an off-lane Lifestealer occasionally. If you have a really tough time, you can start in the jungle. And it looks like Dreams is going to go for the ever-annoying Nyx Assassin, really effective at all points in the game. He can do a solo mid role, he can do a support role. Mana Burn is always going to be frustrating to play against. And the other really high-class support right now is Shadow Demon, just because Disruption is so useful. Especially in a tri-lane situation, whoever Lifestealer goes on, hopefully Shadow Demon will be there to disrupt them, and that should buy them at least 2.5 seconds of invulnerability, and maybe they can turn team fights as a result.
Yeah, with the open wound, or once Lifestealer open wounds somebody, Shadow Demon can actually, it just gives them a really easy target to disrupt. And on top of that, the Purge, his ultimate, actually goes through the Lifestealer's Rage, so...
Yeah, that's going to be good at all levels of the game. Another really great reason to pick up Shadow Demon. There's so many BKB carries that are popular, but it works so much better against a melee one, because a completely slow melee target might as well be stunned, because he's most likely not going to be right up next to an enemy. He can counteract that at least slightly by getting like a phase boots and Drum of Endurance or something like that. Pretty common Lifestealer build at the moment, but regardless, it still is quite a nuisance for him. So we'll see what LGD picks up to counteract the Nyx Assassin Shadow Demon. It's not the strongest tri-lane setup ever, because Nyx is a melee hero, and Shadow Demon doesn't naturally have a whole lot of damage himself. Disruption is fantastic, but a melee hero plus Shadow Demon doesn't give you a ton of offensive potential, so LGD might try to punish this. And to start things off, they grab a Leshrac, which Leshrac Lifestealer is already looking really strong in terms of damage. Yeah,
I would have been really surprised if they didn't pick up a support here. There's actually a dearth of really top-tier supports, so it was important that LGD picked up one off the bat. There still is Rubik in the pool, but they opt to get the Leshrac first. I think Lesh does a really good job as a support of punishing towers. And if you pick a weak offlaner, then you can just force them out of the lane and then take the tower really quickly with Edict. Or even if you go the Lightning build, it's really good for team fights, and they're going to actually pick up their offlaner. That's another hero that, there's a lack of quality offlaners. There's a Darkseer, Lone Druid, and then after that, it kind of falls off a little bit. So for them to get a hero like that as well, it's a really good thing. And I think from here, LGD might want to ban out some of the more common long laners, just to kind of suffocate Dreams. And they're going to get rid of the Jug off the bat, which has actually become really popular as of late.
Yeah, we've seen him almost every single game so far tonight. Really works well in conjunction with any kind of pushing lineup, especially with a Lone Druid, because of the fact that the healing ward heals on a percentage base, so that means really high HP units or heroes like the Lone Druid Bear will just get insane amount of regen. So, and even still, been seeing a lot of mid Juggernaut actually, and then they go for a little bit of mid game roaming or ganking, sometimes some damage items, and Juggernaut has actually been doing quite well. So there's the Wisp ban in the second round, and even seeing kind of an unusual band of a Sand King out of Dreams here.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised by that. It's really greedy support and not something you normally see, but it does pair pretty well with Leshrac, as the double stun has some synergy. They are banning out all the supports like I expected. Dreams realizes that LGD lacks a mid and another support to go along with it. There are not a lot of decent mid options, so I think they're actually just going to ban out the rest of the supports. Unless they want to ban something like Puck, just so their mid lane isn't contested at all. And actually, LGD bans out Weaver as well, the other long lane I was actually going to consider. There's still Beastmaster, though, one that can just kind of pull along. There's Tinker as well, but I think that reduces their team to a more passive one, especially with Nyx, Shadow Demon, and Queen of Pain. I think they're going to want to play more aggressively, so something like Beastmaster might be considered.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And another reason that Weaver's most likely banned is because he's really great against a Lifestealer tri-lane. Lifestealer's open wounds is a fantastic slow at all stages of the game, and because of Weaver's Sakuchi, he can go invisible and hit max movement speed no matter what the slow is, and that can actually stop a lot of the early level ganks. So definitely a hero that started seeing some influence because of the prevalence of Lifestealer, so getting him out of the pool is really, really smart here. We're waiting on Dreams actually to pick up their last ban. Again, LGD is looking for a possible solo mid and a second support, so they have to decide, do they want to play against the Puck mid? There's a pretty good chance of Puck being drafted here because of Puck versus Queen of Pain, and they were scared about a possible second carry here, which is going to be a Gyrocopter. It could have been a Gyrocopter versus a long lane, or a solo Lifestealer versus a long lane. If, wow, a Silencer pickup here. Not a hero we see very often, but his global silence is going to make a big impact on team fights in the mid game.
Yeah, especially with the lineup that Dreams has so far, they're entirely relying on non-physical damage. They've got the Queen of Pain's nukes, Nyx Assassins, Shadow Demon, so if they can actually get a pretty decent global silence off, then it's going to be really, really difficult for Dreams to engage. And it's not actually a hero that I've seen for quite some time. Ever since it got the nerf, I thought it was really, really good.
10 seconds
And then
remaining.
it kind of fell off, but now we see it again being prevalent here.
Yeah, it could be really
5
good.
seconds
Are you expecting
remaining.
to see him in the mid roll, and how do you think he matches up against Queen of Pain 1v1?
He actually does quite well, just because you can spam Last Word and Glaives of Wisdom. It does quite a bit of damage, and it forces Queen of Pain out. The one thing, though, I've seen it played both ways. You can do it as a support, but that would leave LGD with absolutely no targetable stuns. But maybe that was a strat as well, and maybe that's why they banned the Weaver, just because they weren't anticipating getting any instant stuns.
And we're going to see an anti-mage this game, so that's going to be the hard carry for Dreams here. Pretty reliable hard carry in the late game, but he's got to get there, and there are some counters against him with Silencer. If he casts Last Word, we'll give him a silence after he blinks, if I'm not mistaken. You get the cast off before the silence hit, or
Yes.
after. The silence will apply after the blink, so it might help the gank if, for example, they can use a global silence and then cast Last Word. Last Word will trigger automatically
10
if he can't
seconds
cast his
remaining.
blink, and then that will shut him down. Not to mention Silencer also does lots of pure
5
damage with his
seconds
second ability,
remaining.
Glaives of Wisdom, and it might be a little scary for him to hit late game if Silencer has a good game. But in their defense, Silencer is actually really easy to gank on the mid lane. He doesn't have a good escape, and that's one of the reasons I think he doesn't get drafted that often.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this game. LGD did a pretty good job with the bans. Now, they picked the Lifestealer first. I think they were always going to do that. And actually, a team from the West, EG, the way they play against Lifestealer is they pick a BKB breaking hero, or just a magic invulnerable breaking hero like Mag's Reverse Polarity or Batrider's ult to try to counteract that. So I think they saw that, they banned it out. Really good by them.
Wow. A Luna pick. So this really messes up the lanes a bit. We're not going to see a Silencer mid, if I'm not mistaken. Is that going to be a support Silencer?
Yeah, that actually looks like a support silencer now that they picked up the Luna. And I think Dreams is actually going to need a long lane here, unless they're putting Queen of Pain in the off lane and putting something like Nyx mid and picking up another support. But I would imagine they'd pick up a long lane here, just judging by the way the draft's gone so far.
And do you think a Silencer Leshrac Lifestealer is a
seconds
strong enough
remaining.
tri-lane to go against the anti-mage Nyx Shadow Demon?
5 seconds
I don't think
remaining.
maybe they'll offensive tri-lane this, but the only issue is that if they decide to go on one of the two supports, it's kind of difficult for them to get a rebuttal off. So Dragon Knight's actually going to be the last pick.
So Dragon Knight, Queen of Pain's probably going to go mid. I guess is that going to be like a safe anti-mage expecting versus Zhao 8's Darkseer? I'm going to assume that's going to be the case, but we can take a look over at the players here for the Radiant team. This is Team LGD. Zhao 8's going to be playing the Darkseer. We've got Yao playing the Lifestealer. DDC is on the Leshrac. We've got DD playing Silencer. It does look like support items. And the last player is going to be Siler playing the Luna.
Yeah, and it actually looks like the anti-mage is going to be farming. I thought Oe was their offlane player, but we have I can't actually see all their names. It's the hardest thing in the world. But we have Yosh going to be playing Nyx Assassin for Dreams. Oe playing anti-mage. LA playing the Dragon Knight. JYC picking up the Shadow Demon, and Jewel is going to be playing that Queen of Pain, one of his signature heroes.
And he is aiming towards the bot lane, so perhaps he's expecting a solo Luna, is my guess. Maybe they're expecting an aggressive tri-lane. Queen of Pain versus a Luna is not too bad of a matchup on flat ground because Queen of Pain does have a range advantage. And if you look at his starting items here, he is going for lots of extra stats with the +5 to all build, which is going to give him some good survivability while still giving him base damage and enough mana to cast daggers on the Luna. But the Radiant team is swinging down there immediately. If we check for some other indications of their item builds, Siler is looking to go fast Tranquil Boots and or Ring of Basilius, something like that. Darkseer actually is going to be mid, it looks like, possibly. Zhao 8 has the typical mid-bottle build. Would that be too weird, do you think? Darkseer versus Dragonite mid, and then they'll shift the...
It's actually pretty okay, and Lifestealer is going to be top, and it's going to be really difficult for him to die because the rage is instant. So if the disrupt happens on him and then he just pops his rage, he can just walk away. So things should be kind of okay in that situation. I'm actually really excited to see the lineups. They both kind of picked a tri-core setup where they both have 3 farm-dependent heroes. Lifestealer obviously not so much as Queen of Pain does. She's really, really squishy, but I'm actually a really big fan of this anti-mage pickup by Dreams. I was talking actually in the other room and saying that they needed to pick one of those heroes, anti-mage or PL, and I think get it to the late game and hope for the best from there, especially since they're the underdogs here.
And why do you think teams haven't been drafting those heroes very much so far?
I think it's just the reliance on the late game is not there for a lot of Chinese teams. I think just the fight mentality is always there. I mean, look at LGD's lineup. They've got one of the best 5-man lineups I've seen in quite some time, so...
Yeah, it really is. Vacuum into an Eclipse. You can put a Global Silence on top of that, so there's absolutely no chance they can return fire during that. And that sounds insanely scary. They have not the best disables, though. They've got a mini stun from Vacuum, basically. They've got mini stuns from Luna, and a Leshrac stun is mostly all they're working with. So maybe they'll pick up some items that'll help fill in those gaps a little bit. Possible sheep sticks or things. But yeah, it does look like a really, really scary lineup. A lot more damage coming out of their team than what Dreams is working with.
Yeah, not a single hero with a mustache, Kevin.
I know. What is up with this? Like, how are they supposed to win? Oh, wait. Darkseer's got it set. Check
no,
that
it's like
out.
a beard.
What? I see hairs coming from his